What if creating a safe space for young women could change confidence, futures, and even entire families? Welcome to the Kent Business Show. I'm your host, Rachael Bryant, where we share the stories behind the businesses and organisations powering Kent. In this episode, I sit down with Sarah and Claire from Unstoppable Girls, a growing CIC dedicated to supporting young women, particularly those with ADHD and neurodivergent traits, through confidence, building community and practical support. Sarah and Claire share how decades of youth work experience led them to create Unstoppable Girls, after recognising that many young women were being overlooked, misunderstood and often not diagnosed until much later in life. What they've built is a safe, supportive environment, both online and in person, where young women can learn about themselves, build confidence and realise they're not alone. We also explore how their work extends beyond young people, supporting parents, working with schools and helping families better understand neurodivergence. From girls finding their voice for the first time to schools changing how they support students, the impact of Unstoppable Girls is already creating meaningful change across communities. This conversation is for parents, educators, business owners and anyone passionate about supporting the next generation and understanding how small, safe spaces can create unstoppable confidence. Let's get into it.
Kent is powered by business, and every business has a story. Join your host, Rachael Bryant, on the Kent Business Show as she meets the businesses powering Kent, sharing their journeys, their experiences, and what they've learned along the way. A real conversation with real people, giving you real inspiration. This is the Kent Business Show, powered by your video team.
So ladies, welcome to the Kent Business Show. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, you are so welcome. I mean, what you ladies are creating with Unstoppable Girls CIC is so exciting. But I want to dive first into how this has come about. So tell us a little bit about your background and your history.
I'm a youth worker. I've been a youth worker for a really, really long time. And I have was working for a little parish council doing some youth work for them, but it wasn't quite working as well as we wanted. And through that, I was learning a bit about setting up my own business. So having done youth work for a long time and worked for charities and worked for local authorities, I sort of went, maybe I should just set my own up. And I'd been learning about digital and I'd been learning about sort of digital business models and all of that. And I went, I think I could do a digital and in-person youth work organisation. And also having realised that I myself have ADHD, and I went, I'm going to aim this at girls with ADHD because I know so many young women I've worked with who I now can see would get an ADHD diagnosis who didn't at that time. And I thought it was really important to create a safe space to bring all of them together to just learn a bit about themselves and their brain and do all the things that we would normally do in a regular youth group, in a regular youth situation, which helps build confidence and understanding and friendship groups and all of that. So that's where I started Unstoppable Girls from. And I brought Claire in. We've been youth workers together for a really long time. And I said, come and help me with this. I need help. It's more than I can run on my own. And that's when you came in.
Yeah. So I'd been working for a local authority, youth work for 20 odd years. And the youth work we were doing there wasn't aligning with my values so much anymore. It changed so much that it kind of wasn't aligning anymore. And then obviously Sarah had started this up and that just felt like the ideal opportunity. Luckily I was able to take redundancy and not just leave. So I was, able to do that and then join Sarah with the project that aligned much better with the values of true youth work and back to the core principles of youth work, which is fantastic.
And you're ahead of the game really as well, because like you say, is the youth work at, like, when you envision it in my head, I stereotypically think of like the outbuilding that you go to and you're all there and there's a bit of pool and there's, what is it, like what was it, PJ and Duncan kind of style.
Yeah, biker grove.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I envision that. But like you say, you've actually digitized it. And are looking to offer it as both the online space that they can come on safely, but yeah, let's meet in person, let's have that human interaction, which is really important for development as well.
Absolutely. It was looking at, and there's been a real push, especially since sort of the pandemic, at digital youth work and looking at that. And we'd been constrained both when we worked for the local authority in being able to explore that digital youth work role. And so we were like, actually, let's look at that digital youth work and what does that mean? And that means using online platforms and being in the digital space where young people already are. And so we looked at that. And so we have brought in some of that. We've brought in the stuff where you see people do digital content from digital businesses where they sell courses, and we do that as well. So we brought in that aspect of courses. We brought in the digital youth work world as well into that, with a hope that we could raise enough and create enough income and funding that we could offer our in-person for free. Because digital is great, especially for a lot of the young people we work with who find it really hard to go to new places and meet new people, but they're online. But actually, we feel you have to have a mix of both, because in reality, in real life, is just as impactful and more important than the digital. But the digital is a great way that we come in and introduce ourselves to people and they get to know about us. So yeah, it was just trying to combine all of that to make a youth work model that is viable in the world today, because sadly, we've lost an awful lot of youth work organisations over the last 14 years. So it's looking at how can we be viable and how can we be relevant and present and provide what we want to provide, which is support for young people.
Absolutely. And there must be an element as well that this is also adding then that additional educational aspect with the digital and online space, because you know, I know kids, and I've got teenagers or preteens, although they feel like they're 40 odd sometimes and know more than I do. But, you know, they get online and they don't truly understand the space or how to use it, and forget there is a human at the other end. So by giving them a space that they can come on and be supported, but then taught there is someone at the other end, they're taught how to use the digital space correctly as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, I think that's something we very strongly believe in, isn't it? Is showing young people. I mean, there's a big debate at the minute, isn't it, whether young people should be on social media or not. We don't believe in banning it. We believe it's about teaching them how to use it properly, and the ways in which it can be used, and it can be used safely. We've found ways of using it very safely. So
that's so exciting to hear that you actually don't necessarily believe in the ban. And it's education is what's needed, not taking it away.
Well, we're signed up. There's a campaign called For Us, and we are signatories and signed up, and we're on that campaign. So if you ever look that up, you'll see we're on there, and it's very much, and it's linked to the stuff that's come out right now about saying actually we shouldn't be banning social media for young people or the digital space for young people. What we need to do is make it safe at design. So there's a lot we need to go back to the companies for, and the tech companies say you need to make this safer for young people. But alongside that has to come education, and you have to show people that actually not everything you see online is true, not everything is real. We are very keen that people learn about how to safely use that online. So we agree that education about being safe in that digital space is just as important as making that digital safe space as well. So for us, the two go hand in hand together.
And when it comes to I say physical side, the meeting in person, what sort of spaces are you looking for to create and have that people can come to as well?
We're looking really for, we don't have our own space, so we have to go elsewhere. So we're looking for spaces where we could put young people together in small groups, where they can chat, where they can do activities together. But it's having a safe space to do that. And the space also needs to feel safe for young people. So we've been really lucky that the venues we've used so far have allowed that to happen. So we're looking for spaces where there might be a little kitchen, because our young people like to cook and they like to do that activity, where we've got tables that we can put tables and chairs out, that because we've got a lot of resources ourselves, we bring them along. So we don't required a venue to have those resources, we do bring them. We don't have a pool table, the old adage of youth centres, isn't it? Everyone thinks about youth work, they think about pool tables and table tennis tables. And yes, they are a key tool that youth workers use. We don't have those, we don't bring those, but we bring arts and crafts, we bring games, we bring discussion groups, we bring a whole load of stuff. So we've got all of that, we bring that with us. So it's just finding a space that we can make feel safe for those, our young people, because our young people, they don't like lots of noise, they don't like lots of people. So we have to look at how we can manage all of that within a space.
And it's really important as well, providing a space that is then undigitized. Like someone taught me was, it's important that your children get bored, because they need to learn to create their own entertainment. One of my sons is Lego fanatic, so easy. I just say no screens, no switches, and that's it. He's off. He's in his creative world. Our other son definitely has a bit more of a spicier neurodivergent brain, and is wanting to go all the time. And something we found with him is cards. Yeah. And so the amount of solo games, but having something like that where he's just got a deck of cards in his pocket now, even when we're at family and friends, he's like, Mum, can I just go and play some cards? And I'm like, yeah, of course you can. Like, I'm not going to say no to that one. Like the Switch, no, you're not having that. And I don't feel I'm saying no as often to him now.
Yeah, it is. It's I also have spent many years telling people you have to allow your children to get bored. Although I can remember as a teenager, I was forever going, I'm bored. And when you have an ADHD brain, boredom can physically hurt. So there is an element that comes with that. But from that boredom comes creativity. From that boredom comes ideas. From that boredom, you learn to do things to entertain yourself. And it could be writing or new games or new ideas or a new invention. Things come from boredom. So I do think boredom is important. But we also really love the whole thing of games. So we've got loads of stuff that people can do on their own if they don't feel like they want to mix and come in. But we also do stuff that encourages them to come together and have those conversations with each other and build those relationships with each other, haven't we?
I love this. Now, you're specifically looking at Unstoppable Girls and that side. Is this because girls are known to mask so much better? And actually, when it comes to being diagnosed, women are finding that they're not diagnosed until much later in life and then going, oh, that all makes sense now. But it's had that detrimental effect, or they feel like they've been held back, when if we can find that now and say, look, come and find out, that the tools are in place for a much brighter future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think within our girls groups, aren't they, when the girls are all together, they can not all of our girls are diagnosed either. So they don't have to be diagnosed. They could just have a thought that they may have ADHD, and they'll come along and they'll recognise it in each other. But they're safe because they're within a girl group, aren't they? So they feel safer to do that and explore that and to be wonderful and weird together. You know, I think we kind of embrace that word, don't we? But you know, we're all weird here, sort of.
It is, but it is that, and it helps. We've done some bits in schools where we've talked to groups of girls where there's been suspected or thought ADHD, and we start talking about the ADHD brain and what it's like and what that brings, and you just start seeing their eyes light up and their face go, oh, that's my brain. And so it's realising that, because there is a big, as you were saying, disparity between boys' diagnosis and girls. If we're talking about boys and girls, boys are diagnosed on average at about 9 and a girl is 17. So a girl will have gone through all of their education, you know, without that support and that help that works for that. They just think, oh, I'm just weird, I don't know. And they put in a lot of effort. It's really hard and it's exhausting. But actually, if we're looking at that now, there is a new statistic coming out with female diagnosis that it's more likely to be in your mid-30s because of all of the women that have been missed all of those subsequent years. So it is, for us, it's about providing that safe space where they can learn and explore that together. And it does look different in girls than it does in boys, which is why so many girls have been missed. And I know when previously we used to do SEND groups and you had boys and girls together, the girls are like, well, I'm not like that. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
So we have this space where they come together and they can all learn from each other. And just conversations come about, and we've had conversations about weird things about being how can you cope with a big light on, or don't put the big light on, because that's something that you'll find a lot. Or we have conversations around the brain that doesn't shut up, and all of that. And those are just
my ADHD.
Yeah. So that helps them get a sense of belonging and identity, and realizing it's not just them, they are not alone in that. And from getting that understanding, you can build that confidence and that self-esteem. They can learn tricks and tools that work with their brain, rather than being expected to do it in a way that doesn't work with the brain. So yeah, it's just for us a space to bring that together, especially when they're kind of at 13, they're starting to show more of those traits, and just to kind of come together with all of that and others, just to create that real safe community and space.
Especially when, like, say, if a young boy has been diagnosed around 9 and then getting the tools, they're then going through their hormonal periods with the tools already in place. Yeah. Whereas girls are going through oh my God, I've got all these hormones and this, and I'm weird, and actually it's like, you're not, or you are, but own it as well. Like, since I've owned my weird, I've been so much happier. And also I know how to manage it with people as well, which means I don't feel isolated or alone. And that's a huge thing when growing up, is if you can own your weird, you're actually so much happier.
Absolutely. Yeah. I spent a lot of my, not just childhood, but adulthood going, I'm weird. I don't want people to think I'm weird. Oh, I need to hide this. They're going to think I'm really weird. Oh my God, they're thinking I'm strange. And I know through school, I used to get comments at school where I knew that at times they thought I was weird and they thought I was strange. And so I own that and kind of go, yeah, I'm going to come across a bit weird, and I'm going to come across a bit strange at times. And that's okay. And that's fine. And when we had one of our young people, didn't she turn around in the group, and we asked, how would you describe Unstoppable Girls? What's it done for you? She said, I thought I was just the weird one, but I come here and I realise we're all weird, and actually it's okay, isn't it? And I think, to me, that embraces what we're about. You know, yeah, we can all be a bit odd and we can have our quirky moments, and you'll see little patterns of behaviour. And we have girls that will not say a word, and they might say 10 words in an hour and a half, through to girls that just don't stop talking. And that's okay. And that's all fine with us, isn't it? And I think that's what they appreciate and they like, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing we do is we work with the parents as well, don't we, to recognise these things and to work with the girls and their brains together, don't we? So it's a whole family experience.
That's huge as well, because like you say, again, when you're in that world of isolation and that having your parents just know some of the tools or support that they can go, is like, do you just need 5 minutes? Or allowing that space and that awareness is massive when you're growing up. Just even though we all hate our parents because we're teenagers, actually you can then go away, have that moment, and come back and be like, thank you for allowing me that space.
Yeah, because I've got a 16-year-old daughter myself who potentially got ADHD, and it's taught me so much about taking my time out before when she's having big emotions, big reactions to things. It's about going, right, okay, this is the ADHD, let's just calm down for a minute, we'll make sure she's safe, but we'll talk about it when she's calm, rather than responding straight away myself, because it's easy to go back, but just no, let's not.
It is, isn't it? And it's about realising that in our youth work career, we have spent decades. Between the two of us, we've got over 50 years of experience of youth work. And we spent decades working with kids with big emotions. Yeah. And actually, we learned how to deal with that through being youth workers. And actually, those skills are really just as important for parents, because teenagers have big emotions. The joy is ADHD girls have big emotions and they don't really go away, those big emotions. And it's how do you manage those big emotions? How do you deal with all of that? And it's hard work. We get it. It's tiring. It's exhausting. We absolutely get it. But let's understand what's going on for them a little bit. Let's understand that big emotion is because they've got rejection sensitivity dysphoria has just kicked in. And even though it may seem a really dramatic response to something quite tiny, actually she's having what would be classed as a standard ADHD response to that. So let's look at how we regulate first. And how do we regulate? How do we calm the situation down before anything else happens, isn't it?
Yeah, and like you say, that's going to allow a whole family shift in language as well. So I always remember, like, my parents would go, "You're making such a mountain out of a molehill," and I'd be like, "But for me, it was a mountain.
Yeah.
Like, it was huge. Like, I felt, it might be that I've done something wrong. Well, for me, I hate that idea that I've let someone down. That's it. I'm catastrophizing. The whole world is ending." And they're like, "Calm down. Like, you just slipped up a little bit. You're allowed to make a mistake."
Yeah.
But I have to go through that emotion to feel that. And then, like you said, having the whole family understand is like, let them catastrophize for a minute, because they come down.
Yeah.
And they'll learn to regulate themselves as well. That's huge.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that sometimes they need us to do that regulation for them. So they need us to maybe just go and spend 2 minutes out to get ourselves calm, to then come back in to provide that regulation, because that's the lovely joy. We have little mirror neurons in our brain, so we'll mirror what other people are doing, which is why it's quite easy. If someone else is angry, you can get angry because you're active. But actually, it's the opposite. Can also the opposite work. So if you've got yourself calm and you've got your heart rate low and you've got your sympathetic nervous system coming into place for you, that helps them to then kick up, switch their sympathetic nervous system on. It helps them to regulate as well. So it's when you have that conversation with parents to go, actually, sometimes even though you're not calm, we need you to be calm. You need to be the calm one, because that helps them to learn to be calm. That helps them to learn to regulate. So yeah, it's just that whole element, isn't it, around understanding why you've got these big emotions, and it's not just because they're teenagers.
Or it's they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Fabulous. I mean, I'd love to hear some more about some of the results you've seen working with, the girls and also the families and things. But this is about growing Unstoppable Girls CIC. So we're going to jump over to our sponsor, and then after that, we're going to come back and discuss that a little bit more. So here's to our sponsor.
This podcast episode was produced by Your Video Team and recorded right here at YVT Studios. We're a full-service content studio helping coaches, creators, and business owners turn conversations into content that connects. Need a professional space to film your podcast? We've got it. Want someone to handle the filming, editing, and strategy? That's what we do best. Looking to walk away with months of high-quality video content, all filmed in one day? Book a VIP content day. Whether you're hands-on or hands-off, we'll guide you through the process, keeping it simple, stress-free, and seriously effective. It starts with a conversation. We turn that conversation into content, and that content builds your brand. Your Video Team, making you the hero of your brand.
Welcome back. I am still here with Sarah and Claire from Unstoppable Girls CIC. It's so lovely to talk to you today. Let's dive into the results that you're seeing. So can you give us a hint as to someone you've seen come into the room and how they've left, or how they're progressing through their journey with you?
I was going to say there's been a few different results that we've seen. So when we've done our groups and the young people were coming in person to our groups, you could see them at the beginning. There are times when they'd have to be accompanied by a parent or someone who was working with them, and that parent would have to stay and they would sit with them, and they might not talk too much, and you kind of bring them in and you get them involved in activities, and by the end of that session they're chatting and they're talking, and then they come the next week and mum doesn't have to stay or the professional doesn't have to stay, and they come and they're coming with suggestions. So our first ever person that ever came, she came with a worker who stayed with her, and then after time she started bringing her own stuff in as well that we could do and coming up with suggestions, and we did those activities together, and it was stuff that everybody else did. So that, just seeing that whole progression of becoming safe and wanting to talk, we've seen that a lot, haven't we?
Absolutely. I mean, we know and we recognise that coming to a face-to-face group can be extremely challenging for young people, all young people, and we make it as easy as possible. So we make that, that as simple as it can be. And if they want to meet beforehand so they can come and have a look around our space, then that's something that we would welcome. If they want us to meet them outside and walk them in, again, we will make that as easy as possible that they can come in and do that. And you find that they do, eventually the next week they'll be the first ones there, won't they? Trying to clamber in to get into the group. And then lead-in activities, we've had that quite a lot.
Yeah, so that's really lovely to see all of that growth there. We've done some work in schools where we deliver a 4-week course within schools called Unstoppable Confidence. We also deliver that online. But we've seen young people in schools just suddenly going, oh, I understand my brain a bit more. I understand why I find this happens. And it grows their confidence because they're realising they're not broken and they're not flawed. They have a brain that probably isn't working in the way that other people's brains work. So we have to work with that. So there's a reason why it's really hard for you to get started on things, or why you can't prioritize things, or why time feels really different, or why you are spending an hour and a half on a homework that everybody else has spent 20 minutes on, etc. So that then helps really bring that confidence to the light of, I get this now, I understand this, and you just see all of that happen. And confidence and self-esteem grows when they're just around other people who have that same kind of idea or that thing, isn't it? Being around other people that are just weird or a bit odd, or they don't all have the same interests, but the fact that they all know they have ADHD just seems to be a bonding factor.
We found that just I think in the feedback that we got back said to us, it was strange to see so many of us together in that room together, and it was nice to know that I wasn't the only person in the school who was having these thoughts, feelings, whatever, and there was other people there.
I was going to say, because that was a group of 15, so when you've got 15 young people, because they feel they're alone, and you go, actually there's a lot more of you in your school than just this 15. When you feel like going to them, I've written to your school to say that your school should have probably somewhere like 60 young women with ADHD. You're not alone, isn't it? And that's when you start seeing those whole elements, isn't it, that they're not alone, and that they're other people who get it. And I think that's really important. It's just having other people that just get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what's incredible about what you're creating. So you've got the online space, you've got the in-persons that we're looking to grow and start up and things like that. But like you say, is actually supporting schools and community places, other community places like that as well, where you can go in and speak to them, is massive in that sense, that you can do that. And it gives them a space where, like you say, they know that they're not alone in the school, but they also have the place to go outside of school as well. What difference do you see when you go into schools then?
It's been an interesting, because we've gone into a few different schools, and it's seen as people that are really unsure, they don't really know, they kind of can't work out why they're there. And then you start talking and they kind of going, why am I here? I don't have ADHD, because most of the young people we work with don't have a diagnosis, because we know that only 1% of girls have a diagnosis, and we know that it's more like 5% of them actually have ADHD. So most of them aren't diagnosed. They're a bit like, why am I here? And then you start talking, and we make it really clear from the beginning what we do and what we're about. And you start just seeing that change, and that going, oh, they're describing me. They're talking about me. They're talking about something I relate to, isn't it? It's what we see often. And it is then, and then they look around everybody in the room and they see everybody else in the room having that same thought and having that same moment. And then they recognise it's some people from their class, or it's somebody from their year group, or someone from the year group below them. And it just puts that whole perspective of, you're not the only one with this. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of people with this who are just like this.
And what are schools reporting back once they've gone through that and they're going, yeah, do you know, once the girls understood that, we've been able to support them, but also they have recognised it and gone, I get it now. So what are the changes of behaviour there?
I think when the staff have listened, it's challenging some of those presumptions. So we did some training with the staff in a school, and one of the guys goes, well, why don't you just switch on hyperfocus? And you're going, if only we could control when it goes on, because we'd be hyper-focusing all the time, isn't it? It's changing and challenging that and going, it's not because someone doesn't want to do these things, because they can't. Their brain's just gone, whoa, no, isn't it? And it's about telling them these things will work. So you just start seeing them understanding more, because everyone has heard of ADHD. It's been around for a long time. And it's challenging what they think that is and challenging what support they think is required, really.
So a few small changes within a classroom can make a world of difference for those girls. And for some of the schools, it's quite easy to make those changes. For others, it's not as easy. But
yeah, and we've worked with a couple of schools that are making real changes to try and make that. They have this real understanding that actually so many of the young people that are in their school now, not just women, but if they've got males, have some form of neurodivergence, and they do need to put some bits in place. So you do get staff going, oh, I'm learning about this just as much as they are.
Yeah.
So.
And that's huge, isn't it? Because that education to the teachers and the staff is a ripple that's just going to pass on forever, right? Because, as much as we all hate talking about the pandemic, and blimey, it was 6 years ago now, there are still effects of it coming out and only just being seen now by the different age groups, because they were all affected differently at the time. What are you seeing? Like, it does feel like ADHD's been around for ages, but there's this spike of talking about it, and is it just a buzzword sort of thing? What are you seeing in relation to that?
I think it's because the kind of pandemic brought about a different understanding. So we know that the pandemic has had a big impact on children and young people. And there's a lot of word going on now about a mental health crisis in young people. And we speak to various people that are from that specialist young people's mental health world who say a lot of this is dysregulation. And I think a lot of what we're seeing is learning, when you're a child and young person, you're sent home, when you're isolated, you're not having those experiences which help your brain develop, that help you learn, isn't it? And I think what we're trying to say to people now is, look, we are seeing more ADHD, but I don't think it's a consequence of the pandemic. We just have a better understanding of what it looks like. But it's that whole element of we need to look at whole systems and whole structures and work out that certain things just don't work. And we know that there are stuff that happens within a number of schools that just don't work for neurodivergent brains, that also, and little tweaks and little changes could just make a world of difference, isn't it? But I just think it's that understanding, because we've got a lot more grown adult women going, oh, this was me, and we kind of haven't been silent about it, and they've made a big fuss about it, and they've been saying to people, you need to get this, you need to understand this. So I think it's so much talked about and it's so out there, but people still don't really get it, because they're just seeing the big headlines, isn't it?
Yeah. So what age are you working with?
So we work with ages 13 to 25.
Okay.
So 13, by then, if someone has ADHD, the traits and the behaviours are well in place and embedded. So some of it can look like traditional puberty and teenage years, but actually those traits would have been in place beforehand. And puberty kind of makes it a bit harder to hide them and mask them. So we work with 13 to 25, so we're there to support through all the way through that last part of secondary school into post-16, the world of work, worlds of uni, if that's the way you go, the world into setting up home or having a family. We're there for all of that transition through and support people through that, because when you've got ADHD, those transitions can be really tricky. They can be really hard. And it's having people there that are just there to go, we've got you, let's have a look at this.
Incredible. And I mean, I'm aware, because we've discussed it before, like the girls are actually really in control as well in Unstoppable Girls. So you said earlier about this one who's come with ideas and things like that, but you very much want them to shape the way that Unstoppable Girls is created.
Absolutely. So the first Unstoppable Girls group were involved with the branding and our website design. So our logo is the one they chose. It's not the one the directors or the adults wanted. But we said, as that's the one the young people wanted, that's the one we'll have. So they help pick our colours and all our branding and all of this, what the website was like. But they also help us with things like the activities that we do. But we also have now a young people's board who are there to shape all the decisions and are there to shape how we go, because we truly believe we should be a young person-led organisation.
Absolutely.
And if you give the young people the power to make those decisions and the power to be that lead, then so much can come on. So we've got ideas of what we want to do over the next year, from maybe launching a podcast to doing an event. But actually, for us, it's not Claire and I leading those, it's the young people lead those. They're the ones that say, yes, we want to do a podcast and we want to talk to this and we want to talk about that, to yes, we're going to do an event where we celebrate young women with ADHD, but we want it to look like this and we want it to be like that, and it's going to do this. And to us, that's really important, because when they do that, they grow and they gain confidence and they gain leadership skills and they gain just everything, isn't it? So,
but as well as that, we make sure that we're offering what the young people want, aren't we? So, you know, it's all well and good saying that that's what we think you want, but actually we want to know what they do actually want.
Fantastic. So with that all in mind and all being said, this is growing and you are a CIC, so you need support in this. You two are doing an incredible job of building the foundations and getting it going. You've got an incredible team of girls that are sort of rooting you on and involved, like you say, but there's no denying we need more support and there's more help to get this off the ground and really going. At the moment, where can people dial into what you're offering?
So for young people, we have our space on Discord, which is a safe space. You can learn about that on our website. There is space on our website.
So it's split into 2 different age groups as well. So we've got 13 to 17 and then 18 to 25, just to make sure safeguardings.
Safeguards in place. So the under 18s are in a separate space to the over 18s. So we have that for young people. For parents, we have a membership which is hosted on our website. So if they go on there, there's a community, there's courses, there's workshops, they get regular emails. So so we have that, and we also have blog posts and various other things. But we're then trying to get to the point where we can bring back our in-person groups. They had to pause last year because of the loss of venues, but we're hoping to bring them back as well. But in order to bring them back, we need to develop that digital and that online world, because that hopefully helps us to bring in the money and the income to offer the in-person stuff and cover the cost of those.
Amazing. So what sort of support are we looking like? People listening to this now, you've obviously got the membership for parents who, you know, is it a paid membership?
Yes, that's a paid membership, and our Discord community is a paid community as well. We try and make those as affordable as possible, so they are £15 a month. So we make those as affordable as we can. But we also are just looking for. We used to have a Just Giving page where people could donate. We're just transferring to a new system, so there'll be a new donation system. So the joy is being a CIC, we can do fundraising, we can apply for grants. So we do apply for grants to get money to cover stuff that we do, but people can also donate. We are bringing together some fundraising activities this year as well that people can sponsor and donate. So it's just looking for things like if people can help us with spaces, if people can sponsor something that we're doing, if people can donate. We're just looking for support and help, and we also look for volunteers as well. So we've just took on some new volunteers as well to come and help us. They're all working a bit behind the scenes with us. But so we do look for help to help us grow, because we are growing. That people are realising there is demand for what we do. It's just a bit bigger than what 2 of us can manage together.
And this is, but that's a great thing, right? And this is what we want, is it to grow.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people that need the support out there and want the support as well. You're not short of that. It's just managing it in a way that it can be given its full justice it deserves.
And we want to be sustainable. We've been here for 3.5 years now. Probably shouldn't be here, but we're tenacious and we don't give up. But we're trying to find a way that's sustainable, that can keep us going for the long term. that means we aren't relying on one particular source or one particular thing. We're trying to make sure that we're here because we know the young people, women we support, they're not going anywhere. You know, they're going to still be here. They're going to still keep coming through. They're all still going to be here. We need to be sustainable. We need to be here for the long term. And it's making sure that we're set up in such a way that we are.
This is so good. So, I mean, first and foremost, you've got the memberships on Discord for the 2 different groups, and then you've got the parental membership as well, so you can do that. Then you've also got all the things like the courses, the going into schools, going into places to support.
Yeah. The courses are available online as well. So we've got an Unstoppable Exams, which is for revision techniques. We're going to change the name because it doesn't quite fit, but it's revision techniques for the ADHD brain, basically.
And we do our Unstoppable Confidence course we do in schools. We deliver that online as well, so people can sign up and be part of that, so that expands where that reaches and where that goes, isn't it? So we've got those online courses too. So we're just trying to grow what we can afford and or what we can offer people.
Fab. And I mean, we're going to grab all your details, like the website links, all your social links. They're going to be on the show notes and descriptions below. So do go and follow, but also reach out if you've got a space you can lend or work in partnership with. That's needed, you know, that's wanted as well and desired. But also if you've got skills you can offer. So obviously we do podcasting, so we're already in discussions like how can we support for the future? If they've got plans of that, what can we do? So if you've got any skills that you think, yes, absolutely, because you just never know what that could develop into. You could be finding from a business your next apprentice, your next employee as well, like someone who's already working with you.
Absolutely. And we've got some young people who are they've just turned 18 in the last year, and we've been working to get them into employment and in apprenticeships. Because for us, we see ourselves as a youth work organisation first and foremost. So we are looking at not just providing that support but understanding your brain, but we're also looking at in long term that we would provide that support into work, that support into apprenticeships. There are lots of organisations we work with that provide that, and we want to link in and tap in. So yeah, we've got lots and lots of plans and ideas, but at present we can't do everything with just the 2 of us.
But we're going to grow it. This is
Absolutely.
what this is all about, getting you out there, getting Unstoppable Girls seen so that you can become unstoppable.
Yes.
Absolutely love it. Sarah, Claire, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to see where this goes in the future. If you do want to support Unstoppable Girls CIC, then please check out the show notes and description below where you can find all their links. You can go and connect with them, go and support them any way you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you've enjoyed this episode and you're a Kent-based business owner with a story to share, we'd love to hear from you. You can find out how to be a guest on the Kent Business Show using the link below. Be seen, be heard, be unforgettable.